Hello, Stuart Watson, Alex Jones here in Austria, where we've just seen Ipswich Town draw 2-2 with Flyeralarm Admira. I finally got to grips with that name. Your preview threw me, Alex, because this is a club that's had many names. Admira Wacker, I want to keep calling them. That's more catchy, isn't it? But
yeah, a little bit. I mean, they've gone through it a bit with a load of different names over the last God knows how many years, and going into administration and coming back out and new ownership, so it's thrown me a little bit as well.
I still don't know what a flyer alarm is. I think that's something to do with sponsorship, but I digress. Ipswich Town have drawn 2-2 here today in their second friendly of a pretty hectic day. They played one this morning at their training base to the north of Austria, about an hour and a half away from here. And then various people got ferried across on coaches, and then a different teams played in the 2-2 draw here. This is the one we've seen, so let's discuss this one. What did you make of it as a whole?
It started off a bit rough, didn't it? I think it was one of those where the players just kind of felt the heat to start off with more than anything. I think we felt the heat as it kind of the day wore on, and I think I was talking to Connor Chaplin afterwards. He felt the heat as well. He said it was the worst he's ever played in, and it took a little bit of time. I think it was actually that Sam Morsey shot around, I'd say 25 minutes in, where the goalkeeper saved it, tipped it over. It just seemed to wake people up a little bit, and obviously the kind of flurry of goals, the back and forth, that kind of just sprung the game into life. Just helped to turn it into a game that was actually worth watching. But overall, I mean, it's pre-season. You don't want to go with the cliches of saying it's good to get things. It's good to get a bit of work into the legs after so long out. But that's the main thing. And I think as well, the goals for Connor Chaplin and Freddie Ladapo are going to be really important, because they're going to be two really important players for Town. So yeah, I think it's been a fun occasion. That's the main thing as well, that we've had fans over here who've got to go on a European tour for the first time in a little while. 2019, I think, for the Germany one.
Yeah, first time since Ipswich went to Germany in pre-season. So yeah, as an occasion, it's been nice. I mean, it has been scorching conditions here today. Kieran McKenna saying that's the hottest conditions he's ever coached in. The players all saying that's the hottest conditions they've ever played in. I think the mercury was tipping 35 degrees by the time kickoff came, so understandably that first half was pretty lethargic. And I thought there were some signs also. It might have been the conditions of the heat. It might have been a long, hard training week. They've been out here in Austria all week in the middle of this heat wave. It's maybe just taken its toll a little bit in that first half. But I think tactically they're still working a few things out. It's not a major removal from what they were trying to do last season, but they're just tweaking a few little things, and I think that maybe they're still getting to grips with that. Kieran McKenna's talked about them sort of being in the classroom as much as on the training pitch this week, and looking at video and trying a few things. So they just haven't quite looked, across the 3 games that I've seen them in so far, not quite looked as sort of joined up and telepathic as we've come to sort of know and love from Ipswich Town, during that promotion charge. But as Kieran McKenna says, now is the time in pre-season to get these mistakes out the way. And the goals against today, they wouldn't have been too happy with those 2 headed goals. One's come from a set piece.
Yeah, I think they were frustrating ones. It's just kind of statuesque marking. I think that the heat is one of those where the ball comes in and everyone just kind of freezes a little bit. You know, when your body kind of reacts to these kind of temperatures, you just kind of freeze up, and then, the team that's had 6 or 7 weeks of pre-season might have a bit of an advantage over the one that's only had 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Both the teams that Ipswich have played today are far more advanced in their pre-season preparations. Admira play their first competitive game next weekend. They start with the cup game. Spartak Trnava, the Slovakian side they faced this morning, they're playing in a Europa Conference League qualifier next weekend as well. So they're just that little bit further ahead with their pre-seasons. Ipswich still trying to work a few things out. So today, the game we saw was far from perfect. Apparently the goal against this morning was also a mistake, playing out from the back. Don't know the exact nature of that goal, but again, it sounds like it's one that the manager's not too happy with. So yeah, hopefully just ironing a few of these things out, and ultimately we have to take as many of the positives away from it as we can. As you say, Freddie Ladapo now moves on to 4 goals in 3 games in pre-season, which will be great for his confidence. Connor Chaplin, who you spoke to afterwards, I think he was quite pleased to finally get off the mark. Someone who scored for fun last season, just snatched at a few in those first couple of pre-season games, and again did so in the first half today, but took that equaliser for 2-2 quite nicely, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a bit of a scrappy one, wasn't it? It kind of bounced around the box. I think it was from the corner, and he was on the spot to slot it home. So fair play to him. You know, he's had a few audacious ones. We talked about the halfway line shot at Needham last weekend, which I think even by his standards he thought maybe was a little bit cheeky to try that one, but it almost went in. He's someone that I think once he just has one, the goals will fly. He needs the confidence, and you know, he was a player that, again, once the goals started coming in last season, they just all flew and flew and flew. And if he can do that in the Championship, then he's got the players around him that can also contribute. And I think that's the thing, is that, you know, you look at your George Hurst and Freddie Ladapo, you know, as strikers, they're going to be the ones who are going to be there to score the goals. But I think Ipswich's wingers are really important. It's having the wide players involved as much as possible. We saw that Aluko got his goal this morning. Maybe we'll see what kind of role that he has to play in this team going into next season. But the wide players are important in terms of just having that outlet there. They really have done well against the fullbacks across the games today. And going into the Championship, where you need a bit of pace and you need a bit of energy just to get up the pitch. I mean, there was one of the counters where Jack Taylor does a little spin, brings it out, it comes through. You have Greg Lee, who obviously makes the run high, Edwards involved. It's just such an important part of what Ipswich want to do. That
was the move of the match today, Jack Taylor. Lovely bit of skill on the edge of his own box to kind of let it run across him and sold his man a dummy. We had the players that played in the first game sat just in front of us in the press box up there, and that drew a few oohs and ahs from them. I think they appreciated that from Jack Taylor. I thought Kyle Edwards finished the game really quite lively, actually. He got his twinkle toes going and was beating a few players and looked quite dangerous. Chaplin's goal was a Connor Chaplin classic. He was sort of falling backwards a little bit, did well to kind of fashion a shot from a difficult angle, but he just knows where the corner of the goals are, doesn't he? So that was a good finish. Freddie's was a bit of a scruffy finish, but did well to kind of use his body, hold a man off turn and kind of squeeze a scruffy shot in. So, and the 2 goals this morning, we've seen the first one. Lovely Nathan Broadhead driving run and layoff, curling finish from Shawnee Aluko. If you haven't seen that on social media yet, check that one out, because that's a really good goal. And it sounds like the Marcus Harness goal was a really good one as well. Beats a couple of men in his own half and runs half the length of the pitch to score as well. So I don't know if we'll get to see that one at some stage as well. So hot week in Austria. It's peaked today, the temperatures, so it's the old cliche, I think, of some minutes in the legs. I think these first, as Kieran McKenna sort of said, this first 3 weeks was really about the training process and building the fitness and getting some tactical work in, and now it will be about really fine-tuning things in the matches ahead, because this pre-season programme sort of ramps up a little bit with the games that are coming, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you'll all be heading up to Preston in midweek of the big numbers at Deepdale. So everyone really like a pre-season trip up to Lancashire, but yeah, exactly. So it's a game that I think will benefit Town in a lot of ways, and the schedule's just kind of created to ramp up the games. It's going to be Championship level. Okay, it drops down a little bit with the games against the 2 League One sides on the weekend, but then Premier League outfit in Luton, who obviously have a few new faces now they've gone up, and then obviously Champions League sides in Leipzig and Werder Bremen, who are a top flight Bundesliga team. So it's going to build up and up and up, and I think by the time they get to that Sunderland game, they will be in a really good place. There will be an argument for not overdoing it. That's going to be important, especially after they've had a really hard week, and they're now going to be going pretty much Saturday, Tuesday up until the end of pre-season, or Saturday, Wednesday in this case. So that'll be tough for them, but they're getting more and more into what we're going to kind of expect from a match fit Ipswich side. You kind of saw it a bit today when things were getting a little bit feisty, and you see the likes of Sam Morsey getting stuck in. He does not understand the meaning of the word friendly, does the Ipswich Town captain. He clattered into quite a big tackle, got booked.
A couple that he was
two bookings in the second half. One of their players got booked as well, second half. So a nice competitive edge to that, and I think they'll gain a lot from that game. Just to dot the I's and cross the T's, Wes Burns did go off injured in the first half. Looked like ice being applied to his right calf to me on the other side of the pitch. Kieran McKenna says that's precautionary, take no risks at this time of year. Hopefully that's fine, fingers crossed. Same with John Oydonasian, who got taken off in the first game today. Not sure what the problem is there, but again, they're not too worried. George Edmondson, notable by his absence today. Ipswich again playing centre midfielders at centre half. Lee Evans this morning, Don Ball this afternoon, because there's no George Edmondson. It's because he had to go home in the middle of this week with a little twinge to his ankle that he's been struggling with since he got that horrible ankle injury against Lincoln going back quite some time now. He keeps having setbacks with that, but again, hopefully not a problem, and he'll be back with the group on this week, says McKenna. So fingers crossed, that's all precautionary, no worries there. No George Hurst either. They decided not to send him out and join the group, so he'll be joining up with the group on Monday. And we'll be building up for Preston, Alex. So yeah, we'll see you up at Deepdale. It's going to then feel like we're getting into championship business then.